Okay, I think we're going to go ahead and get started then. Um, Welcome to today's class, Building Your Business with Reference Solutions. Some of you may be expecting a class called How to Start an Online Business. Unfortunately, the wrong title was published in our newsletter, and I apologize for that. I sincerely apologize for that. We did have a class called How to Start an Online Business about a year ago, and we are going to put a link to that class over here in the chat. You can click on that button below that says chat, and a screen will pop up with that clickable link for you. The class we are going to teach today is called Building Your Business with Reference Solutions. Okay, and I do want to take a moment for some housekeeping reminders. First, this program is being recorded and will be made available on the Plano Public Library YouTube page for later viewing. And second, soliciting a business or selling merchandise during library virtual programs is prohibited. Please show respect for our presenter and one another throughout the program. Okay, so for those of you who may have joined a little late, this class is Building Your Business with Reference Solutions. We taught the how to start an online business previously, and we have a link to that recording in the chat if you are looking for that. My name is Jennifer with the Plano Public Library, and I want to thank all of you for joining us for today's program. Please note that if you have any questions, you can type them into the chat. Caitlin and Hannah will be monitoring to assist you with any issues and bring questions to my attention. We will also be sure to leave time for questions at the end. So let's get started. This class is an introduction to the powerful tools in Reference Solutions. Reference Solutions is a group of databases with detailed information on millions of businesses and consumers in the United States, which means you can go into Reference Solutions and create a targeted list of potential businesses or consumers. You can also do a little bit of competitive analysis using these tools. And there is so much to Reference Solutions that we are not going to have time to get to all of it today. And I want to encourage you to explore it further on your own after this class. Okay, so we're going to start off by getting into Reference Solutions. And how do you do that? You come here to the library's webpage, which is planolibrary.org. And if you want to come up here to the top where it says library, you will notice there'll be a drop-down menu. And you'll just want to come down right below library under learn. It's going to say research and learn, and you'll click on that. I'm going to click on that. Sometimes it takes a little while to load, so I'm going to come over here to the one I already have open, and you'll go to the second section, which is the business section. Now, you do want to come through the library's webpage because if you go directly to Reference Solutions, they would charge you for it. So you do each time need to come through the library's webpage to get into it. So if you'll notice, this used to be called Reference USA. It is now called Reference Solutions. If I accidentally say Reference USA, I apologize. We're still not quite used to that yet. So you would click on this tab here. I've already clicked on it, so it would skip through. So I'm going to actually go to this tab and show you what generally will come up. You will have a terms and conditions page, and you will have to accept the terms and conditions and then continue. And that will bring you to a login screen, and you would put your library card number in right there and log on. And that will bring you here to Reference Solutions. Okay. So what I want to show you first is that they have created a little area down here where you can put your personal account and you can register and save your searches that I'm going to show you how to do. So you could come in here to register and sign up for that. I'm going to go ahead and sign on just to show you what that looks like. Whoops. Okay. So it's going to look like this. It's going to look a little different from what we're going to see, but it's all the same information. It's got the consumers, the job, and the business. We're mainly dealing with the business here. And it has your saved searches below. A lot of people are very interested in that, so I wanted to show you that right off the bat. But we are going to go here to the main page. And this is where you will find the databases. Yeah, what you can do is you can click on more information and it will tell you more about the databases over here on the right. So we're mainly going to deal with the US business. If there's another one you're interested in, maybe you want Canadian businesses, you can go down there and click on more information and you can see what that includes for the Canadian businesses. Or if you're looking for historical, whoops, sorry about that. If you're looking for a historical business, you can click on more information there and it will tell you. Okay, but we're going to come back over here to US businesses and we're going to go ahead and click on that. And let me scroll down here to get to my right area. Okay, we're going to look first at the quick search. You might already know what business you are interested in targeting. You might have a product that is perfect for this company, and you just want to go straight to there and find out all the information you can about that company. So in this case, we are going to look up Highland Homes. That's a company here in Plano. And we know they're in Texas, so we're going to say Texas. And it's just a very easy, quick result, quick search. And it shows that we have 104 companies. Now, we're not quite sure which company we're looking for. We know that their home office is here in Plano, but if you'll see, it's like these are showing places everywhere, and we're not entirely sure if that's the one we're looking for. But we do know they have a lot of subsidiary companies. So if you look over here on the right, you can see where it says corporate tree. You can click on this little icon here, and it will give you the corporate tree. It will give you all the branches to the main company and kind of gives you their sales volume so you can kind of see where they fit in the whole picture. I'm just going to go back here. Another option, because we're pretty sure that these are the subsidiaries of the main company, you can also click on the little arrow. If there's a company above the subsidiary company, they'll have a little arrow here. Or if the company is the parent company and they have subsidiaries, it will have a down arrow. So I'm going to click on this. And you can see here that we have Highland Homes that's located here in Plano, and it will show our corporate tree, and then it shows that it has subsidiary companies below it. Okay, so we can go ahead and click on that because that is the one that we want. And we can get some general information about them if this is the company you want to target. You can see the general information. You can go ahead and collapse this. This is job listings. So you can expand or collapse here. Industry profiles is nice to see. And you might want to capture those SIC codes because that might become a little bit more important later on. And I'll show you where that might become important. But if you ever see an SIC code, you might just want to jot that down. Business profile, it gives general information about the company. And this is interesting too. This shows you when it was last updated. And I do get that question a lot about how often this database is updated. They used to update it about every 6 months. And so I'm actually a little bit surprised that this is so outdated, but I wanted to show you that because it is important to pay attention to the dates on information you're getting. So definitely check that out if you're looking at a particular company. It generally gives you hours of operation. I really like this section, which is the management directory, which gives you a little information about who people are and where they fit into the company. And of course, it's going to be important that your information is not dated. So you might have to check that out a little bit more if you're going to use that information. What I really like to show everybody though is down here. Business expenditures, that's nice to know. How much are they spending in different areas? In case your product falls into one of these areas, you can see where companies might be spending a little bit more money or less money, and it might not be a company to target. Okay, so let's go down a little bit more. I like this area down here. If your product is geographically important to this company, you might find some other businesses you can target by looking at nearby businesses. So these are businesses that are around Highland Homes in this case. I'm going to collapse that. A lot of people will find that they have a particular product based on what that company does. So this competitors report is really nice because these are other companies that also build homes. And so you can very quickly get a nice list of other companies that you could approach if that is what you're interested in. Okay, so if you have any questions, feel free to type them in the chat. I'm going to go back now. And we are going to look at the advanced search. Actually, I'm going to do new search. Okay, so now we have this, and we're going to actually go look at the advanced search. Sometimes it takes a little bit of a minute for it to come up. And so this is really where Reference Solutions shines. You can really get a lot of detailed information on companies, and you can narrow it down based on what your product is or what your company does. And so let's look at a company that is going to be selling healthcare products. So they want to do verified businesses, and they also want to do some unverified businesses. Basically, the verified ones are ones that Reference Solutions has gone out and contacted. They have all the correct information. The unverified ones are that they've found some information on them. They haven't had a chance to really contact them and make sure everything's correct. So they are going to, they're going to include it just in case. We have a little question here. It says, I'm sorry for, what are these references for? Why would one look for it? What are these references for? Why would I look for it? Well, actually, I'm going to show you a list. So maybe you have a product where you want to sell some type of scrubs or something for like the healthcare industry. Okay, so you're going to go and you're going to try to find companies that do that, that are in the healthcare field that you can sell them scrubs. So how do you do that? You're going to look for both verified, unverified businesses. You're going to narrow it down then. Basically, this is all the companies in the United States. You can see we have 64 million companies all over the United States. And our job is to come in here and narrow it down and get a targeted list of companies we can go try to sell our product to. So we have the businesses. We don't really care what the company name is. We're not going to narrow it down based on their title or anything. We are going to narrow it down based on their keyword. So in this case, we're going to say healthcare. Now, if you notice, I actually spelled it wrong. I used it as one word, and it's actually two words. This system is very forgiving, and it actually gave me both. So that's really nice. So we're looking at maybe some long-term care, some facilities, some management. There's just different things that you might choose. Whichever ones you want to choose, you can choose. So we chose those three, and it puts it down here in this selected area, and we're going to update the count. So there are 23, almost 24,000 companies in the country that deal with this, because this is US businesses. Okay. So we decide we really want to concentrate on this area. So we are going to actually look at Plano, because we're very interested in trying to stick around here because it's just what we want to do. Okay, so we've got the metro area. We come down here and we're going to select Texas because we're trying to stay in Plano. So we're going to say Texas. And so then here we can say Plano. So there, wait a minute, there's no Plano. Okay, so we didn't get anything there. So let's just scroll down. Okay, Plano's not here. Well, if you'll notice, we looked for the metro area. And if you click on search tips here, you can look at the metropolitan statistical area is defined by the Federal Office of Management and Budget. So they give you some little tips on how you're searching. So that is a government defined area. And so we know that in our case, we live in the Dallas area and everybody always refers to it as DFW. So we're going to go look at Dallas Fort Worth. Whoops, I can spell. There we go. So there's Dallas Fort Worth. And so we're going to choose Dallas. And we can update that count there. And that narrowed it down to 465 465 companies.
Jennifer, we do have one question. Do you happen to know if the companies in this database are publicly traded ones as well as privately owned?
Yes, they are both. And actually, you can kind of see that right here under ownership. You can choose public or private. It could be one of the choices. Because basically, it's all the companies, and you're just kind of narrowing it down. Kind of think of a filter. You've got the big at the top, and then you narrow, and then you get what you want at the bottom. And so you could choose just privately owned or that are publicly owned. We're not going to do that in this particular search, but you can do either one. Okay, so we have the metro area. We could choose other choices for geography, but we're good with what we have. We could choose based on phone number. We could do number of employees if you just want to target like larger companies or smaller companies. And let's say you start out doing that. And you say, I think I want everybody, they have to have at least 50 employees. And we update that count and we're down to 73. And we're like, oh, that's a little bit small. We can always just say, okay, you know what? I don't really want to do it that way. I'm just going to remove that. And we're back to 465. Okay. We can narrow it down based on if they are public or private. If they have a foreign parent, sometimes people want to base it on companies where their headquarters are in a different country, or they may just want to look at branches here. There's different choices based on whatever your company does. And there's so many different choices you can make here. Now, let's say 465 is a great number for us, but we did say Dallas Fort Worth, and Fort Worth is a little far to go, and we don't really want to choose that area. So we are going to omit, there are exclusions here, and we are going to omit Fort Worth. So we do choose Texas. And we're going to say Fort Worth. So FT, oh, there's nothing there. Well, if you think about it, Fort Worth, you do want to spell it out. We're so used to saying FT for Fort Worth, but in this case, they do make you spell it out. So we're going to say, you know what, we don't want any companies in Fort Worth. So that gets you down to 427. You can probably think of other companies, but that gives you an idea of what that does. Okay, so let's look at our results and see what we get from that. I'm going to go here. So this might be a good company, a good list of companies if you are trying to maybe sell scrubs to healthcare facilities in this general area. You may want to, mix that up and choose just Plano and not choose Grand Prairie or whatever, depending on what your parameters are. But let's say that you did like this and we wanted to print this out. Okay, so what we could do is we can click on this and you'll see that it tells us that we have 25, but we want about 50. We're going to start with about 50. So we click on that. It tells us, it pops up and says 50 are selected. Sounds great. Let's look at printing and we're going to click on that. Oh, well, let's look at this. It is only letting us choose the summary. a summarized report. And we really want to look at these other choices, but it says, please limit to 25 records for detailed and custom print options. Okay, so that's not really going to work for us because the summary is it's just a few of the choices, and we really want to make that list very customized for us, for our needs. So we're just going to go back, and we're back to our list, and we have 50. So in this case, we decide we're going to download, because we can download this to like an Excel spreadsheet and have a nice list of companies to contact. So we're going to go here to download. Okay, so this gets us a little bit closer to what we want. We probably are going to choose comma delimited. It is the most popular choice, as you can see. This will let you download to any type of spreadsheet type of program. So Excel, Google Sheets, anything like that. So we're going to leave that alone. And then, as you remember in the last one, we could choose summary. That gives you name, address, phone number, and 17 additional fields. But we don't want to do that because we want to be a little bit more custom. We don't want to do detailed because that's all of the data, which is a massive amount of data. So we're going to go into custom. And as you can see here, they go ahead and select 8 for you. You can always take it off if you don't want it. You just remove, but we kind of need the company name, so we're going to choose that one. Okay. And you can move where it's going to be and everything, whatever you need to do. And then you can come below here and choose any other choices. And you can go just into the company, the management, or just all of them and choose whatever you're looking for. And it will populate over here. So it just depends on what your list should look like. And then you can download the records. You can email it to yourself, but that's a little bit big too. So I generally recommend just downloading the records, and then it will pop up an Excel spreadsheet for you there. So that's not too hard to do, but we're going to go back because there's actually another choice. And that choice is to just save your search, which is really nice. So we're going to hit save search. And if you'll remember, we were able to create an account at the beginning. And if we do that, we log in. We're going to sign in. Now, if you notice, I signed in, but then it popped me right back here. So if you don't sign in until after you've done your search, just know that you need to click on Save Search again. And then you can name your saved search. And we're going to save that. Okay, and it saved it. And we're actually going to go back over here, and you can see where we just saved it. We called it health. It was saved today. We have 427. So anytime we want to go back into that list, we just click on health, and it will be right there for us. Okay. So that kind of gives you an overview of how that works. Now let's take a look at why you would want to do this. Okay. Or better yet, a better example of how this would work. Let me go back into it, go into advanced search. So let's think about this in a slightly different way. Let's think about how we can use this for a very particular need. Let's say you want to open a doggy daycare center and you want it in a specific location in Plano. So how can Reference Solutions help you with that? Okay, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to choose the record type that you would want. So like you'd probably want verified businesses because you want to know who your competition would be in that area. You might even want unverified businesses because they may still be a competition. They may or may not actually exist in that area, but at least this gives you a chance to go check them out. You might even include the closed or out of business records because you might want to see if some of these doggy daycare centers maybe existed before but they went out of business, because you would want to know if that was the case, and maybe you could figure out why they went out of business. So if you'll notice, I clicked on all of them, and that gave me 67 million companies in the country, in the United States. So again, my job now is to come in and narrow that down to get a list of just what's going on here in Plano. So first, I'm going to choose a keyword SIC code. Now, y'all probably all know that the SIC codes are done by the government, that when you start your company, you are basically required to put your company into a category and define what you do based on that category. And if you click on that search tips there, you can see that here, and it will kind of explain a little bit of that here. Okay, so we want to do a dog daycare center. So we're going to just type that in and see what we get, because that's pretty good at doing the keywords. And it actually gave us some exact matches. And it actually gave us a dog daycare SIC code, which is funny. Okay, so we have that, and it's in there. Okay, but this time around, what we're going to do is we are actually going to do a map-based search, which is really fun. Okay, so we clicked on the map-based search, and you can see here, we're going to open the map. It takes a minute to come up. Okay, we're going to go ahead and zoom to our area, since we know we want to stay in the Plano area. So if it will let me do that. Well, I think we are. Let me try that again. There we go. Okay, so if it doesn't work, just get out, get back in. It will work. Okay, so I'm going to go there. So we put in our zip code, and that brought us down. We could have just zoomed in, but it would take a little bit of a time, so I didn't want to do that. So I've at least gotten us to Plano, but I could be a little bit more specific. So I could draw a shape if I wanted to. Actually, you know what? I'm going to zoom in a little bit here. Let's try that. Okay. And then I'm going to draw a shape. I know I want this general area. Let me go out a little bit. Okay. Okay. And if you notice, it gives me a little circle there, and it tells me what to do. It says click to place points and double click to finish. So I want to see what companies exist from here, maybe over here to Coit, and then down here and over here. Okay, so I'm going to double click and be finished. Okay, so this is my search area. If you noticed over here from shape 1, that's what it's calling it, it's telling us that we have 7 results. Okay, so that might work for you, might not, I don't know. But if we decide it doesn't work for us, we can just hit delete right here. Now remember, we want to create a dog daycare center, and we're trying to find our competition in the area. So maybe instead of a shape, we're going to define a radius. So we're going to click on that. And it tells you here, click a center point and drag mouse to make a radius. Okay, so we're going to locate our dog daycare center like right here at this corner. We think this is perfect. And we think that people would probably be willing to drive about 2 miles to get to our center. So we're just going to click on that, hold it down, drag it out. And if you see on the radius, it tells you how far out you can go. So this is about 2 miles, you know, you can give or take some. And you can go wider if you think people would come all the way from Sam Rayburn. I don't know, but we're gonna stick with that. We're gonna say that. Okay, so this is our radius, and we have 5 results from that. That's great. We're happy with that. Now, if you weren't happy with that, you could choose boundary select, and then you could choose it by zip code, cities, metro areas, neighborhood, whatever works for you. And you return to tools over here on the right. It's a little bit of an awkward map to use sometimes if you get into some of these, but just remember you can always return. So return to tools. You can do the drive route. Like if you think people are going to drive from here to here, and you want to see what's in that particular area, you can do that too. And so you might do several of these searches. Okay, so we're going to cancel that. Okay, and we're happy with this. You might choose to print this so that you can go back later on and see what else is around in that area, if that's what you're looking at, if that's the area you're looking at. So we're going to say done. Okay, so we're happy with this area. And then what we could do is we could come in here and look for other things. Maybe we only want businesses with a certain number of employees or volume sales, but we decide, no, we're good. We really just want dog daycare centers in this area. We're not going to look at anything else. We can update the count if we want. It's still at 5, so we're good with that. So we're going to review those results. Okay, this is a good list. These are all in Plano, of course, in the same area. And this would be a competitor if we put one there. This would definitely be a competitor. Well, this may or may not be a competitor. And we can go into it and kind of just see, is this just a one-person business? And what do they do? It will tell us here. It may tell us how many employees here. 8, that's pretty good. They might be a very strong competitor. So we might go over there and just kind of check them out. Now, pet hotel, that would definitely be a competitor. A VIP pet service, yes, competitor. But then this last one is a veterinary hospital. It might be a competitor for a dog daycare, but probably not. So what you could do if you have a big list, if you have a bigger list, obviously on this one, you would just exclude it. But if you have a bigger list, you can come in, you see that veterinary hospital and you're like, I think I want to exclude all veterinary hospitals or veterinarians or anything veterinarian related. So you can come into this record. And if you look at the descriptions, it tells you that veterinarians, that's their SIC code, which is 074201. Okay, so we don't really want any veterinarian or veterinarian services in our list. So you would come and capture those. You would go back and you would revise your search. And then you would come down here and you can omit a particular SIC code. Let's see if that one does it. Let's see if we have to do the 01. Okay, maybe we have to do the 01. Oh, yeah, veterinarians. Okay, so we're going to omit the veterinarians. We're going to update that count. That should go down to, went down to 3. So it can also, you can see, did actually take out one of the competitors. So you can decide, do you want to do more? Do you want to do less? You might do both searches and just kind of see what you get. There's all kinds of ways to use this database. Okay. Now let's take a look. One thing that's really popular to do, especially in Plano, is to actually do a restaurant. So I'm going to actually take a look at restaurants. So I'm going to clear the search. And so I'm back here. And one thing that I think is really important for restaurants and is to see which businesses have not worked out. And so we're actually just going to look at closed restaurants. And that might be something you want to do for whatever you're looking for to see if something didn't work out in a particular area. So we're going to do this. We're going to, again, and actually, it's really interesting because the restaurants themselves have a little S on the end. So I need to do restaurants, and I'm going to select restaurants. And I'm going to say, in this case, I actually want it in a particular neighborhood. So sometimes this works, sometimes it doesn't. It kind of depends on how well you know your neighborhoods. So we're going to say Texas. And we have to say metro area. And if you remember metro area, that's Dallas, Fort Worth. So we're going to click on that. And then we can look at our neighborhoods here. Now, it's a little, like I said, it's a little tricky because you really need to know your neighborhoods. So we're going to look at Deerfield. Hopefully I spelled that correctly. Okay, so you can see the different Deerfields that we have, and you can see they have some in other cities in the area, but we just want the ones in Plano, so we do need to pick those. So we're going to update that count to see how we're doing with that. No records are found. So it's a little tricky using neighborhoods. It is possible, but it's a little tricky. So I don't really tend to use it, but that's how that works. So instead, I'm going to do the zip codes, which I just tend to like better. So we're going to do a couple of the ones in Plano. Just hit enter. So we've got 82 that did not make it in these two particular zip codes. And so maybe we want to see all of that, or maybe we want to go in and do a map-based search and do a little bit more specific. Or maybe we just want to see ones that are bigger restaurants. So maybe some that have a lot of employees, have at least 10 employees. I don't think there's any that are going to have 400 employees, but because they are restaurants. And then we can view the results. Okay, and that gave us 33. So these are ones that, for whatever reason, did not seem to make it, although some of these actually still do exist. So use that for what you will. Okay, and we could come back in and we could revise it if we know that that didn't really work out. Okay, but what next thing I wanted to show you, and if y'all have any questions, do put them in the chat. One other thing I wanted to show you in here is the U.S. new movers and homeowners. Okay, and you can always click here and get more information on which database you're looking at and what it has to offer you. A lot of people who have like dental offices or maybe financial services, a lot of times they'll use something like this. You could do a quick search, but that would be I don't know that that would be helpful in this case. So in this case, we want to go to advanced search. And what is this going to give us? Well, let's see. We are looking for, in this case, this particular database will give us people who are new to the area. So of course, they might want to look for a new dentist. They might want to look for new financial services or a new doctor or whatever they're looking for. And we're going to, again, do the map-based search. That just really works well for us. Okay, so we're in Plano, and we're going to do a shape. I keep doing this. Let me go a little bit more detail. Okay, so we want to look for people in this general area. And you can go between cities. This is good throughout all of the United States. And it looks like it gave us 8,000 new people in this area. That sounds great. Okay, we're going to say we're good there. And we want to get people, well, we want, we're good with homeowners. Actually, no, in this case, we want renters. Okay, our product services renters. And we might want to look at other things. We don't need to look at some of the mortgage details because if they're renters, they're not doing that. We might look at people who have moved a long distance or a short distance. I don't know. So let's say anywhere from 5 to 50 miles. And let's update that count and see if we can figure that out. So we have 1,900 people. Okay, we're happy with that. So we're going to view those results. And this is a list of people who have recently moved into the area, and it gives their new addresses. Now, what's really important to know if you're using this and you're targeting people specifically is if their telephones are displayed, and every once in a while they will be, you need to know that they might be on the do not call do not call list, and you are responsible for compliance with federal, state, and local laws. So do be very careful of that if you're going to try to use their phone numbers. Do y'all have any questions at this point? I'm hoping that gave you some things to think about and to use. I really like this database. It's really can be very helpful for a lot of different companies. If you do end up needing some help, I do want to point out that we do have a web page. Again, you can go to library, which is planolibrary.org. And over here under About, there's help from a librarian. That will bring you to this page. And you can see that you can ask a general question here. Or if you have a more detailed question, you can do book a librarian, and you will be matched up with a librarian for about 30 minutes for a virtual meeting. Okay, so I hope that helped. Do we have any other questions? Going to give y'all a second to see if we have anything. Okay. Oh. Yes, the webinar, and Shri is asking if we're going to be sharing the webinar, and it is being recorded, so it will be shared out to you. You'll actually get an email with a link to it. It usually takes them about 3 to 4 business days to get it out, so just give them a little bit of time to get that. And I want to point out here to, definitely check out our website. And we do have a really nice blog, planolibrarylearns.org. And thank you so much for coming to our class. I hope this was helpful. Be sure to stay up to date with the library by following our Facebook page and checking out our blog, planolibrarylearns.org. There you can find recordings of past programs and other materials about how to take advantage of everything Plano Library has to offer. Please complete our program survey, which should pop up following this program. We value your feedback, and thanks again for joining us today, and we